I look up to this guy. He's like one of like the pioneers of the sport. I look up to him so much. So I go out there and fight, have a great fight. He commentated. He was working for ESPN. After the fight, they do all like the post-fight press conference, all that. I don't see him or anything like that. I go out and we party. It was in DC. We go out and party all night. I come back probably at like 2:33 in the morning. It wasn't super late. We went and got pizza and everything. So I get back to the hotel and I'm walking through like the, like where like the fighters were hanging out earlier. No one's there. Like, there's just people like going to bed and stuff. I take my elevator up to I think we're on like the 4th floor. So I take the elevator. I'm with my fiance and my elevator door opens up and right across another elevator opens up and it's Rashad Evans. So this is at like 3 in the morning. So I knew we were both drinking. Why else would he be there at 3 in the morning? So I look at him and he just commentated my fight. And I'm like, yo, what up, dude? And he was so excited to see me. And I'm like, what's up, Rashad? And I come up and I dab him up and I'm like, what's up, man? And he looks at me dead ass serious and he goes, hey, man, I want to ask you. He's like, how are you setting up your takedowns? And I'm like, oh, man. So another funny part of the story is we left the pizza joint. And when we were leaving the pizza joint, I had like a hoodie on and we had leftover pizza. So I got a bunch of these blue cheese dressings. Like I love pizza and blue cheese. So I took like they gave us all these blue cheese. So I had like 10 of them in my hoodie. So when I see Rashad Evans, I have a coat full of like blue cheese in my hoodie. So I dab him up and he's like, hey man, how are you setting up that takedown? And I was just going to show him like this little basic thing. But obviously, he knows everything. But I had all these blue cheeses. So I start taking my hoodie off because I didn't want him to like see all the blue cheese. While I start taking my hoodie off, he sees me doing it. He's wearing a suit, so he takes off his sports coat. And I'm like, oh, shit, like, what are we about to do here? At that point, my fiance is like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. She took a picture of us, and she's like, I'm going to bed. So I show Rashad Evans my takedown. He starts showing me stuff, and we end up grappling outside for in the hotel lobby on the 4th floor for about 20 minutes. And he's showing me takedowns, and he's throwing me around. And the whole time I'm like, holy crap, this is so cool. I'm like grappling with Rashad Evans and we were both tipsy and we were like high-fiving and it was just so fun. And it'll never hopefully I love stories like that and seeing like people like that. I look up to him so much. And he went back to his room and it was probably no big deal to him. He probably didn't even remember. And I was loving it the whole time. And I was like, I went home and I woke up my girl and I was like, oh my God, that was Rashad Evans. And she didn't get it. She doesn't know who he is. So that was one of those things that like I'll always look back on. Like that was one of the peaks of my my first UFC debut. So I was matched up with Gavin Tucker. I always try to be a man of my word. I've signed 2 contracts right now. I still have a contract with Chris Fishgold. So if they want me to run it back with him, because he bailed out of the last fight, I'll fight him. Gavin Tucker's the one on the list right now. So if Gavin's still down to fight, we can definitely fight. If they want to give me someone else, I'm down with that too. I'm down to fight in Jacksonville. I'm down to fight at the UFC Apex again. I heard that was an option. But yeah, the Fight Island, I think every fighter, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat and watching the movie and watching, the Bruce Lee movies where they're fighting on islands so all that. So to me, that would be another one of those, bucket list things. Like how cool would that be? You get to fight on some crazy, multi-millionaire's island at a place they just built just for us. So yeah, I would love Fight Island. Dana said it's gonna be ready in June. I'll be ready in June too. So let's do the damn thing. One of the ones that kind of shaped, in my opinion, shaped where I ended up and the path that I went on was, so when I was like 18, 19, 20, because I remember because I had a fake ID. Me and one of my buddies went out to party, and we were on Chippewa Street in Buffalo. And so we went out, we were drinking, we were having fun, and we ended up just, we drank way too much. And if the bars in Buffalo, in most places in New York, stay open until 4 a.m. So we ended up staying out all night. We were out till 4 a.m., drinking, doing whatever. We end up going to this place, Jim Steakhouse, and it was basically like a late night food place. So we go there, and it was me and my buddy Rizzo, and we were with a couple of these girls, and we were just friends with them. They weren't like our girlfriends or anything. So we order our subs, and me and my buddy walk back, and these guys, they were drunk too. And this is before I could fight, by the way. This is when I was like I said, 18, 19. I think I was just about to start getting into it. And so I walk back over, and these guys are like being super rude to these girls, like basically like, calling them names and stuff like that. And so my buddy kind of like separates it. And, I'm thinking cooler heads are prevailing, but like I said, I was pretty drunk. So I walk over, and by the time I get over there, these guys and my buddy are like talking smack to each other, right? So we're on Chippewa Street. It's at like 4:30 in the morning. I go and I basically break everything. I'm like, all right, guys, like relax. I didn't realize they were already ready to fight. And when I came and broke it up, my buddy was on this side, and I basically held this guy back to my right, and I kind of pushed him back. And while I did that, out of nowhere, he headbutted me, and he broke my orbital bone. So he smashed me with his head out of nowhere. And so he headbutted me in the face, and he hit me. And since I had a buzz, it didn't even knock me down. Like at first I thought it was like a joke. Like I thought he like flinched at me, and I felt like it was like his hair gel in my face. And I went like this, and I realized my face was bleeding because he cut me really bad. And so while I'm doing this, I like looked over. I'm like, did that guy just headbutt me? Like I like couldn't believe it. And while he did that, his other buddy tried to punch me. I don't know why me. And so he tried to punch me. Luckily, I like kind of got out of the way. He missed me. Me and my other buddy start fighting these guys. And apparently these guys were like talking smack to other people there. So them punching me started this huge brawl, and these other people started helping me. So it turned out some random stranger started helping me. This guy headbutted me. We all start fighting. One of my buddies that were there had a gun on him, so he had to leave. He ran out the building. And just, one of those nights where he left, we were all fighting in this gym steakhouse. I tried to get back to the guy who headbutted me, and I see him from across, like, because like at this point there was probably 10 people that were fighting, all from this one headbutt. I get back to the guy that hit me, and someone had him pinned up against the wall. Someone I didn't even know was fighting him. They had him pinned up against the wall, and all I see are like his like rib cage. So he's pinning him up against the wall. And I would never like jump somebody, but he already headbutted me, and the guy had him pinned up against the wall. So I just started punching him in the rib cage as hard as I could, like this. And I probably punched him 4 or 5 times. Then out of nowhere, like I said, everyone's fighting. I'm all bleeding. I'm a mess. My buddy who had a gun on him comes back in. He grabs me and drags me out because he came back for me. He pulls me out, and right when he pulls me out, all these cops stormed the place and started arresting people. And so, funny story, at the time, when we started fighting, I knew I had a fake ID on me. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, we're going to get arrested for this. I take my wallet out and I throw it on the ground because I didn't have any money anyway. I had a fake ID, and it was my brother's ID. So after my buddy grabbed me, we got out of there. No one got arrested. I wake up the next morning, my eyes all swollen shut. It's all bloody. The hotel we were staying in was just covered in my blood. It was a mess. And then, so I had to deal with that. That's what got me into martial arts. I was like, I never want that happen to me. I never want that to happen to me ever again. I need to learn how to fight. And then the craziest thing, like 2 weeks later, someone sent that wallet back to my brother who lived, we lived together. So they sent me back the wallet with his fake ID. So it was just such a wild night. That was my defining moment where I was like, I'm never going to get put in a position where, he headbutted me and like, I almost didn't know what to do. I was in shock. So ever since then, I started learning jujitsu. I started at a young, at an older age in terms of, people doing it their whole life. But yeah, that was the defining moment. It was still to this day probably the hardest I've ever been hit. He hit me right in the eye. My eye was shut for like 4 days, and I had a contact that was stuck in my eye. And they wanted to do surgery on it, but I just basically let it heal. And it was definitely it was the wildest night of my life, and it kind of led me to becoming a martial artist, and then becoming one of the best fighters in the world.